on the team. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rashida. Greetings to one and all. Thank you each and every one of you for being here with us today on this virtual platform. I could not see everyone because of the niceties of this virtual platform, but whomsoever is there, I welcome each and everyone. It's a glorious moment to extend my wishes on behalf of the Department of Human Rights School for Legal Studies and the NCC unit of Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow, the organizer of this national webinar. I want to convey my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Sanjay Singh ji, in absentia. I also welcome Professor R.P. Singh, Dean Academic Affairs and Director IQAC of the university, for accepting the invitation and presiding over this webinar. I couldn't see him, but he's presiding over as I heard. I convey my regards and welcome to the chief guest of the day, Professor Rakesh Kumar Singh, former Dean and Head Faculty of Law, University of Lucknow, and the keynote speaker for today's webinar, Professor D.K. Mishra ji, Law School, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, for accepting our invitation and joining the webinar. I welcome you all in this webinar. I feel honored to welcome all the guests, delegates, my fellow colleagues, the director of this webinar and Dean and Head, Professor Priti Mishra, Dr. Shashi Kumar, the organizing secretary of this webinar, Dr. Rashida Atahar and Dr. Rajshri, the co-organizing secretaries for this national webinar, my colleague, Dr. Vijay Bhaskar, and colleagues from the University Academia. The students are also welcome for taking a keen part in this important webinar on language policy in India, issues and challenges. I'm sure that you will feel enriched with the knowledge on language policy after the completion of this webinar, after hearing the great personalities as chief guests and the keynote speakers in this national webinar. Now, coming to this language policy in India, we know that pre-independent India, in ancient India, Sanskrit was the language. Then during Buddhist period, we see Pali was considered to be the language which was apparent at that time. And during medieval India, we see Persian came to be one of the language there. And you see Arabic and Urdu in educational institutions, that was the language. And with the advent of the Britishers in India, English became the language for official purposes. However, for education purposes, you see, there was a Wood's dispatch of 1854, which says that at school level, the language was the vernacular language, that is related to the specific state or region-wise language. But for higher level, you see, English was the language at that time. Now, after independent India, what we see is that India has not only accepted as a participatory democracy as its political goal, but also to attain a socialistic economy within its democratic framework. So the active participation of people in the process of governance becomes necessary for its success. And India is a country, we all know, is of various diversities. And particularly, I'm talking about the diversity on the basis of language. We all know that after every 50, 60 kilometers distance, the language changes in India. There are thousands and thousands of languages. So it was considered that through the use of regional languages as media of administration, this aspect of participatory democracy or the socialistic economy can be achieved in time with very little expenditure. And to further this aspect, the Constituent Assembly of the India, while drafting the constitution, has also adopted the Hindi as the official language of independent India during its debate on 14th September 1949. As Rashida told, that we are also celebrating the Hindi week or Hindi Pakhwara from 14th September onwards up to 28th. So that 14th September has its history of being declared as Hindi Day, because that was the day when the Constituent Assembly adopted Hindi as the official language in 1949. Now, regarding the various commissions which worked about Hindi or some other language formula, we find that in 1952, Mudaliar Commission came, and that commission recommended the three-language formula, which stated that the mother tongue should be taught at the primary stage and English and Hindi should be introduced later, at the later stage. After doing the primary, the students, they can go for the English language also. So this three-language formula that was simplified and approved by the Conference of Chief Ministers in 1961. And the regional language or the mother tongue, Hindi, English, or any other modern European language, that came to be in existence as the part of the three-language formula. However, after that, Kothari Commission in 1966, that also put forward a modified formula of three languages, which means that the mother tongue, then English and Hindi in non-Hindi speaking states, and any South Indian language in Hindi speaking states instead of Hindi. So this is how this three language formula has been modified in 1966. At the same time, you see that the government of India had also formulated some policies on official language, and the Official Languages Act of 1963. Then you see there are some resolution of 1968, some rules were also framed. And as per the provisions in the Constitution, the orders of the President of India, which have been made on the recommendations of the Parliamentary Committee and various other guidelines from the Department of Official Languages, these all make the part of the official language policy, which we find in Indian Constitution as well as in other statutory provisions also. So, because being teaching the Constitution of India for the last so many years in this university, I cannot leave my traction towards coming to the provisions of the Constitution. And in this way also in language policy, I also gone through the provisions in the Constitution and found that there are certain provisions which are related to the language policies, language provisions. Particularly in part 3rd, 5th, 6th, 17th, and the 8th schedule of the Constitution. So part 3rd, as everybody must be aware, that is the fundamental rights, and Article 29 and 30. These are the rights which are related to the minorities, and in this we find that the protection of the interest of minorities, basically it is a religious and linguistic minority, so the language, script, culture, that has to be conserved. This is their fundamental right, and they can also establish the educational institution to conserve their or to protect their language. So this is a fundamental right under part 3rd, Article 29 and 30. Then besides the fundamental right, part 5th of the Indian Constitution, that is related to the Parliament, and Article 120 particularly, which speaks about the general procedure. That also speaks about the language, and that says that the Parliament language or the business of the Parliament shall be transacted in Hindi or in English. And if the members of the Parliament, if they are not adequately able to express themselves in Hindi or in English, then with the permission of the chair, and Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, as the case may be, they may address the House in their mother tongue. So this three language formula also found in the Article 120 relating to the parliamentary provisions. However, there is one specific provision, or we can say the provision, that after the 15 years of the expiry of this initial period of the Constitution, that is, Constitution was enforced in 1950 completely. So after 1965, this word English would be omitted, or this would not be, or this would be deleted from the provision of the Article 120. And similar provisions have also been made in Article 210 under Part 6, which is related to the state legislature. And for the state legislatures also, the same provisions are there. However, some specific amendments have also been made relating to some of the latestly created states like Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura. So some new states that have come into existence. So for them, this term of 15 years was also changed. Somewhere it has been made 25 years and somewhere it has been made for 40 years. It has to be read as 40 years from the initiation of the constitution. Then specific provisions, if I would say in the constitution, that is part 17th of the constitution. It speaks about the language, official language chapter and language of the union. So official language of the union as it is written in the article 343, that is Hindi in Devanagari script, but the forms of numerals should be international forms of Indian numerals. So this is the provision which we find in the constitution regarding the official language, that is Hindi in Devanagari script. But besides that, it is also mentioned that after 15 years of time of the commencement of this constitution, English language shall continue to be used for official purposes, if it is as it is being used from the commencement of the constitution. And the president may by order change this also regarding the Hindi or Devanagari scripts or the numerals as the case may be. But how this official language has to be made applicable, how this has to be implemented, there was provision for establishment of the commission and the committee of the parliament for the official language. So Article 344 speaks about the constitution of the commission. And you see the first official language commission was formed in 1955. And B.G. Kher was the first chairman of the official language commission. And they have suggested various methods as to how to go for the Hindi and Devanagari script and for the numerals and how to restrict the use of the English language. So the powers and the functions of the commissions, those were taken care of since 1955. And under 344 clause 4, that provides for the constitution of the committee, and that committee has also been established, and G.B. Pant was the first chairman of that committee and started working in 1976 onwards. So the committee and commission, they are working for the upliftment and implementation of the official language. Then chapter 2 of this part 17th speaks about the regional languages as to what shall be the official languages of these states concerned. Article 345, 346 and 347, that speaks about the special provisions for the state as to what shall be the language of communication, official language of communication between two or more states, or what shall be the language or official language, spoken language for a particular section in the population. So these provisions are there in 345, 46 and 47. Then language for the High Court and Supreme Court, that is provided under Article 348. And this 348 provides for the language that it shall be English. So all the bills of the which are to be introduced or amendments or of the House of Parliament, either House of the Parliament, that will be in English only. And this is the provision under 348 of the Constitution. However, the provisions are made therein as to how the Hindi language has to be, the president can authorize the use of the Hindi language in the working of these high courts and Supreme Courts. And at the same time, the translation of all these things has to be made in English language if the Hindi is going on. Then 349 is a special procedure for the enactment of certain laws relating to language. But this is, I should say, this article is almost redundant because it speaks of the during the 15 years of the commencement of the Constitution. So since 1965, I think that this provision is having no such value in the Constitution today's scenario. However, as I told you that ours is a country, democratic nation in which there are various grievances of the persons concerned. So they are belonging to different states and they are having different types of the languages. So if they have to represent for redressal of their grievances, what shall be the language? So for that, you see, the part 17th itself under chapter 4 provides for special directives under 350 article, which says about the language to be used for the grievances to any officer or authority. That is to be the language which is known to the person concerned. And then 350A inserted later on that speaks about the instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage. So the state shall have to endeavor for the primary education of the children to be in linguistic minority groups in their mother tongue. So these are the specific provisions in the Constitution, Part 17, then 350 Clause B, Article 350B also. Special officers for the upliftment or for making the linguistic minorities is there. And then 351 is a specific directive for the development of Hindi language, because all the provisions which we have discussing from chapter part 17th of the Constitution, then how to promote all these things or how to promote the Hindi language. So a specific directive has been made in Article 351, which makes it's a duty of the union to promote and spread the Hindi language. And this is given under Article 351. Then 8th schedule of the Constitution that also provides a list of the languages, and we see that 22 languages are there, and one foreign language, that is Nepali, is also the part of that language list in 8th schedule. So we find that after 72 years of the enforcement of our Constitution completely, the challenge is still on the official language. And I feel that the keynote speech and the words of wisdom of our chief guest will enrich you all to meet the solution for the challenges and the issues, the topic of the webinar. And with that, I welcome you all once again to this national webinar, and hope that of course you will be having a great time, and you will be enriched with the word of wisdoms by the speakers in this webinar. So once again, thanks to all, and I welcome one and all, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on the issue, that is language policy and issues and challenges. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.